All right, y'all. So I'm back. I'm back. One thing I forgot. One thing I forgot I mentioned was because they could monitor my sacral chakra, they could also monitor when I got aroused. This is also the way that they were able to, well, one way that monitor me physically, or physically, I'll just put it like that, because spirit's giving me another word and I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, so I'm gonna just leave it. But then by attaching cords to my sacral chakra, okay, so your girl would do, I was, because of the amount of times I was being heavily attacked, you know how some people say, like, okay, you can do a spiritual shower, spiritual bath, like once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks. Nah, I couldn't do that. I didn't have the liberty to do that. I I was getting attacked so much, I literally had to do a spiritual bath on the daily, on top of cutting cords in the morning and the night, on top of my other daily spiritual rituals that I did to ensure my protection. Now, initially, it was trial by error where I had to try new things because one thing Spirit had told me, switch things up, never keep things the same as far as like how you protect yourself, because the people who are constantly attacking me and constantly doing readings on me, they'll catch on to what it is that I'm doing, what it is that I'm using. There was a point where they were astral projecting to see what I was putting in my spiritual baths, okay, before I learned how to kick them out, or how to block their sight, okay. So, and that was through trial by error. So it was just a lot of things that I had to change up within my routine, within my spiritual arsenal when it came to protection. Because I could use something and it protected me for a little while, but the amount of readings, practitioners that was coming after your girl, the covens, I had to do change ups often. Okay? But one thing that was my main staple was I did have to do spiritual baths, like on a daily, no exaggeration. I mean, there was one point where I was doing cord cutting rituals, okay? And then next thing you know, I actually feel them trying to connect the cord again to my sacral chakra, like within 2 hours. It was like every couple of hours, I felt them trying to attach a cord to one of my chakras. And Spirit told me that the reason why we're allowing you to feel that, so you can tell, you know, when they're doing it, when they're doing the work, so that you can do what you need to do to prevent it. You know, so every single time they try to attach the cord, I felt it. They usually aim for my root and my sacral the most. Yeah, she was obsessive. One of them would do it like every couple of hours, no lie, every couple of hours. Anyways, what else do I want to speak about? What else do I want to speak about? Oh, two things. One other thing that they told me about. With the enzyme and Neuralink, to get it out of your system, on top of doing the 7-day detox, you want to do heavy meditation. You want to go out in the sun for upgrades and activations, okay? So those three things. Those three things, okay? That's what you want to do while you're doing your fast. And ground is what I'm hearing. Okay, so let me just repeat that for those who are for those who were shot with the Neuralink or consume the same shit that I did with the enzyme. You want to do a 7-day fast detox where you are consuming nothing but water and tea, so herbs are fine. Okay, then you want to do a heavy meditation for those 7 days. You want to go out to the sun for activation and upgrades, and you want to ground. So those 4 things, do that for those 7 full days. Okay, and that's to get it out of your system. And you can always ask your spiritual guides. I lean heavy on Archangel Raphael. Okay, so you can always reach out to Archangel Raphael to assist you with the detoxing process, or your spiritual team. He happens to be part of my spiritual team, y'all. Okay. Let's see. What's the other thing that I wanted to touch on? What's the other thing? I'm at 6 minutes. Okay, so yeah, I'll touch on that. I'll touch on that at some point. Okay. Let me touch on how much we're at. 7 minutes. I think I can share this story. I can share the story. So there was a point where I spoke about Chicago. One of the things that I do is I go out to Chicago for work, for marketing. And I explained this in another video, but let me just add on to it. So when I went out there in Chicago, at the time I didn't know, but I found out a team had flew out to Chicago with me. Okay, a team of people who are dedicated to gang stalking. Now, for obvious reasons, not everyone will fly, some will drive. But either way, your girl had a team of gang stalkers. What I found out in that particular, I'm just going to say it, what I found out in that part of that is every single night that I was there, they did spell work on my chakras. They also did sex magic to extract my energy, use it for their own manifestation. Powers even use it as offerings. That still gets me. How you gonna offer up my energy to a deity or God that you're working with or entity? You're not gonna even talk to me, but you're gonna take my energy, steal my energy, and promise a deity my energy. Y'all, the gall. Like these folks. Anyways, so me being in Chicago, not only was I being followed, I was being tracked, I was being followed. Anywhere I went, there was a driver following me. Not surprising at this point. There were people who even booked nearby hotels. I'm being told some booked the same hotel that I was in. Because you also have to understand that at this point, there were people who worked for my company that was part of the gang stalking campaign. So if they had a hotel, they were staying with them, okay? Or hotel room, they were also staying with them. Okay, so they would conduct spell work, but in addition to that, you know, they would activate whatever enzyme that they were studying at the time, that whatever. As far as my sacral chakra, they could, as far as studying it and monitoring it, there were ways to activate it so that you compound with it with sex magic, and then now you're able to extract way more energy when it comes to your kundalini energy, your sacral energy, your sexual energy, especially if you are divine feminine with a golden womb. This is what they were doing. So I literally would feel, especially when I was in the building working, I would feel me vibrating like around my root chakra. So that would be like around my abdomen, my stomach, and the lower part of my abdomen, literally vibrating. And then the spirit had told me that it was the people who were traveling with them that was activating it. How they were activating it, I have no idea. But they were activating it, but they had to be within close proximity of me to activate it. Okay. So it was just like the only times that the vibration would stop would be either when I would be taking a spiritual bath or when I was outside in the sunlight. Okay. But I was told I was being followed, monitored, and tracked. All of my activities, even while I flew to Chicago for work, the whole time. That's when I also learned one of my coworkers was, well, that's not when I learned. Spirit told me way before that. But that is when I discovered that they were working with them too. Okay, to extract energy from me. They were doing sex magic to extract energy from me. That's one of the ways that they were working, coming against me on the Chicago trip. Okay. I'm trying to remember if there's anything that stands out. But at that point, it was just like the normal, I'm being followed, tracked, hacked. I kind of thought it was a bit surprising that they would fly out to Chicago when your girl flew out to Chicago. But hey, that's what they did to keep an eye on me. Okay, and everything that I was doing. So, that was Chicago. I'm going to leave that. Am I going to make this a short video, Spirit? Yeah, I'm going to make this a short video. And then, actually, no, Spirit, because I have more. Okay, so let me just say this part and then I'll end it. There was another trip that I had made to Boston. I was visiting family friends. And they flew out, no, they drove out there too. Followed, tracked me. There was a point where they even got on my cousin's porch and stole one of her packages. In addition to that, so in addition to the normal following and tracking, additionally, they stole one of my cousin's packages off her porch. I was poisoned when I went ahead and ordered from Uber Eats. One way that I was able to identify that is one of the Uber Eats showed that he was driving on a bike, but he came in a car, and Spirit told me he that was done deliberately so he wouldn't be tracked. And one partly was because issues with his license, but also because I was being poisoned through the food. In addition to that, one of the moments that stick out, I remember I was taking a walk, because this helps whenever any type of, I'm getting heavily bombarded with spell work. I just take a walk out in nature, soak in the sun, ground. So this helps. And I remember walking to Dunkin' Donuts. Your girl walks into Dunkin' Donuts. There was a homeless man that was panhandling, asking for money. I remember it raining. I went into Dunkin' Donuts, got my coffee. I came out, he was gone. I'm heading back to my cousin's house. And as I'm walking back up, to my cousin's house, all of a sudden I see this one woman walking down. Okay. And I see that she's not looking at me, but one weird thing is she didn't look like she didn't look like she was from the neighborhood. You're probably like, I don't know why, but I just knew she didn't look like she was from the neighborhood, or she didn't look like she takes walks like often. And so I remember looking at her and smiling or whatever and saying, good morning, whatever. And she had this scowl on her face. And I'm thinking, well, damn, it ain't that serious, So, but the crazy thing is, I thought it was towards me, but it wasn't. It was towards the person that was behind me. And the person that was behind me was the panhandler who was at Dunkin' Donuts. He had followed me. And he was walking. Now, mind you, I didn't hear him. I had my headphones in because my cousin lives in a very safe neighborhood. So I felt like I could relax a bit. So I'm walking. I didn't hear him. I just remember seeing the scowl on this woman's face, and I thought it was directed towards me or whatever. She was having a bad day. I keep on walking. Next thing you know, I feel something whoosh go right behind me, but they go to my right, so they're passing me at this point. Now this person crept up behind me. I did not hear them. The person all of a sudden veered over to the right. Now, what Spirit had eventually told me was there was an angel who had body jumped into that woman to make her come around the corner and walk down the same route that I was coming down. And that she wasn't scowling at me, she was scowling at the man behind me because I didn't see him. I didn't notice him. And because she was walking towards me and she could see him and I couldn't, it made him pivot from his original plan. And I said, what was his original plan? And I'll tell you this in a second. So he was walking behind me for some time before the woman turned the corner, was walking towards my way. And he veered over to the right of me, and then he just, all of a sudden, he kicks up speed and he's walking fast past me. He gets up to the top of the hill and he turns around and he looks at me. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, that's strange. I'm like, it kind of shook me a bit because I didn't hear him. I just felt something big walk by me. And he turns around, he looks at me, and then he makes a quick left. So I'm walking. All of a sudden, Spirit shows me. I said, what the fuck just happened? Spirit shows me a vision of Home Alone, of the two characters, the one played by Joe Pesci and the other tall one. The guy who was a panhandler who had been following me from Dunkin' Donuts looked just like him. And they showed me the scene of where Joe Pesci and the other guy who was looking at Macaulay Culkin's character, their house right before they robbed it, basically making plans. So then that's when it was connected to me it connected for me that his intention was to rob me and to hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Both. Disarm me, rob me, hurt me, okay? But he didn't, because the woman had turned the corner, was walking down my street. And Spirit had confirmed to me that it was an angel who had jumped into her. Either she was an earth angel, but it was an angel who either she was an earth angel or literally an angel jumped into her body, which propelled her to come down that direction, down the street that I was coming down. Well, as I was walking up and I saw the guy pivot and make a left So I finally get to the street where I can see what he's doing. He went down to the middle of the street and he started changing his clothes into something completely different. Like homeboy had a hat on first, took that off, put on a different hat, changed all his clothes into something else while he was, carrying or whatever cart, whatever thing that he was carrying, y'all. So I was shook. I'm not going to even front. And I had decided, well, let me not walk straight back to my cousin's house just in case something crazy, because I'm like, I would hate for me to bring that type of violence or danger to her doorstep knowing that she had small kids. So I was just like, let me just go somewhere else. And I ended up going and getting my nails done, which took by some time. And so that took like a couple of hours before I decided to leave and then head back to her house. So I say all that to say, it was like, as strategic as I was trying to be to make my arrangements private, they were still able to locate your girl, to track down and follow your girl, and mainly because of hacking. But at this point, I have been to Chicago, they did it. I have been in Boston, and they did it. So, and I'm gonna tell you my experience in Florida when they had did it. That will come up in the next video. Okay. But I just wanted to share with you to like the degree, had no chill to the degree. All right. So I'm going to wrap up this video here. I'll see you on the other side. All right. Bye.